I just realized I'm an idiot. Alright, y'all want to hear how much of an idiot I actually am? Good, because I'll tell you. I just recorded like a 10-minute long video. I had my mic muted the entire time, so I'm going to try this again. Something really exciting just released yesterday. Dead by Daylight Mobile, which means anyone can play Dead by Daylight, have not the same experience, it's not as good as playing it on console, but it's a great introduction to the game, and if you really like it, you can buy the $20–$30 game it actually is. There is a lot to unpack in this, in the mobile game. Man, saying all this a second time, I'm messing it up more than when I said it the first time. So for the killers, you start off with very few. I know you have to play a game as a trapper in order to unlock the hillbilly. And I believe there are no DLC characters. I believe that they're just going to use these right here. The thing I found in playing it, it is very, very, very difficult to control the survivors, and it is very difficult to control the killer. The first game I played, I got a 3-kill game. The last person escaped through the hatch. But I did have an okay game. So instead of having a really complicated blood web system and the loadouts and stuff being as complex, the loadouts still are, but instead they just have the leveling system, basically. And every person has a level, and you can unlock certain things at each level. It's kind of similar to most mobile games you might play already. The more you play with somebody, a character, like in AFK Arena, any of those games, you level up your character. And when you level up, you get basic perks, and then you can do a sort of level tree when you unlock their teachables. There's a lot in the game. I would wish that there was more in terms of control and able to do certain things, because I think it would be nearly impossible to play some of the killers like Spirit, Demogorgon, especially Hillbilly. I don't even know how those would be implemented. I never got to play a game with Hillbilly because the queues are forever because people really want to play the game. But the way he works is he chainsaws around the map. It even says here he's a high mobility killer able to cover long distance in a short amount of time. But when he's chainsawing around the map, he is really hard to control on console. And I bet you he's going to be even harder to control on the mobile. So there are some things they either need to tweak or completely disregard in terms of mobile. The graphics, they're okay. You can definitely tell that they're not as good as what are in these games if you've watched any of my other videos. And you can see what you're doing, you can see all the other characters and stuff, but it is really hard to chase survivors and to run from the killer especially. I played a survivor match. I was able to loop the killer, but not as efficiently as I wanted to. I like looking behind you and stuff, especially to try to use perks like Dead Hard, would be nearly impossible, and it would take a lot of getting used to, and the devs would need to work with a test group to make the game better accessible or better playable for all of these different killers and some certain survivor perks. Because if you were to play as the Death Slinger or the Clown, I don't even or the Oni or anybody that has a power that requires being able to move and strategically placing stuff, it's so hard. It is so difficult. Even using the Trapper, like, if I were to play the same way I played normally, like in these games, but I played it on console, if I played the same way I played but on console, I would have 100% lost the game. Just because of the sheer amount of difficulty it was trying to place the traps, trying to pick them up, trying to avoid the traps when you have someone on your shoulder. it's a pleasant experience, and it's really nice to be able to have it on your phone so I can play Dead by Daylight when I'm taking a crap. But the thing is, it doesn't work as well as I thought it would. The way I thought the game was going to be laid out is it was just going to be a really simplified version of the game, which is what it's trying to achieve. It's trying not to focus more on, oh, you have to be invested into this game. When you play Dead by Daylight on console, if you want to get good, you have to get Hag to level 36, have to get the Cannibal to 35, Freddy to 42, in order for them to be decent killers and usable. But I feel like on mobile, everyone's a rank 15, and everyone sort of sucks at the game. There's no being amazing at the game, I feel. I don't feel like there's a high skill capacity doing mobile. I do think it's great for the people who want to see what the game is like and to see if this would be something worth them buying. But I definitely think they're going to need to change some things around, make the controls a little bit easier to use, make it more friendly for mobile, if that makes sense. I think the game, Dead by Daylight, could work really well on handheld devices like PSP, I don't even know if that's still a thing, and the Nintendo Switch, for example. I believe this game could work really well on the Nintendo Switch. Just because all the buttons are there, all you need is a screen. Yeah, the buttons might not be perfect and stuff, but it's the same thing that's on my controller right now. So I believe that could work, but putting all the buttons that are on my controller on the face of a screen, I think is really hard, and especially joysticks. I believe the hardest part about the game is not so much moving, but it's the way you move. So you can move the joystick however you want, but they have a little joystick on the screen wherever you want, but it's kind of useless walking behind you. You're really pushing it forward most of the time. But in order to turn, there's not another joystick. You have to slide your screen. And what the problem comes there is that you can't just like move it, you have to pick up your finger and keep sliding it. So if a survivor, right, moves to the left or to the right really subtly, it's pretty hard to hit them, especially if they're at a distance where you don't know if you can lunge that far or not. So there are some things I find troubling about the game, and I really wish that they looked into that more, or were able to solve it more before the actual DVD mobile release. But I believe this game has a lot of potential, especially on the platform they put it on. I would really like to see it come to the Nintendo Switch or another handheld console that I'm not familiar with, because I believe it could do a lot more on those devices than on mobile, because your screen's only so big, and you can't. And I know there are like controllers and stuff you can get for your phone, but if that's a requirement for a mobile game, I just don't think that it's good. Fortnite Mobile, for example, I think it's a little bit like that in a sense. Fortnite is a really competitive game. Very competitive. A lot of people either still play it or played it in its prime. And when they introduced Fortnite Mobile, it was for the 6-year-olds that couldn't be playing the game right then and there. You understand what I'm saying? It was more of a game for people who always didn't have access to playing Fortnite. And I think it was a pretty cool idea. The controls aren't that good, you can't build really quickly and stuff, but everyone is kind of on the same field, and that's how I feel like it is in Dead by Daylight Mobile. I really wish, I just feel like this is a lot more extensive, because I couldn't imagine playing the game as Legion or Oni, or, I mean, even Trapper was difficult, and he's considered an easy killer with his bear traps and most of his perks and stuff. I mean, I couldn't, if I had to play Nurse, you can't. Nurse, Hillbilly, anything with high mobility and needing to be exact with your movements in order to down a survivor or to be able to create pressure, it would just be nearly impossible. And I just think they need to either change around some of the things, because the way Nurse's power works, and I know some of you aren't, actually most of you aren't familiar with what Dead by Daylight is and what most of the people do. The Nurse, she's able to blink. So basically, she teleports a certain distance, but that distance is straight. So she holds a blink in her hand, is what it's called. She lets it go, and she moves through any object straight out. And a full blink is about 20 or so meters. And she can move 20 or so meters and then do a shorter blink for 15 at the most. That is her power, but she walks really slow doing other things. She doesn't have a very long lunge. But she is considered like an A or an S tier killer, like one of the best killers in the game on PC and on console. I think that she would be unusable, absolutely unusable when implemented on mobile. How are you supposed to use somebody who has that exact straight line for that? It would be impossible to use her. And if someone figured it out, good on them. I can't spend hours upon hours trying to figure out how to play a killer. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it's true to how I feel like this game acts. Having to aim hatchets to throw at people, that would be really hard just because of the lack of sensitivity in some places. Like, you cannot look behind you in one fell sweep. Or too much. You cannot easily adjust. You can't, like, you can lightly move this, and you can see, oh, if I want to land on the Huntress or the Shape, you can. You can just go right over to him. This, you're either Huntress or you're Hag. There's really no small movement that can lead you over in small gaps. It's either you go really far or not at all. And I believe aiming hatchets would be really hard in doing that. Having to avoid all the obstacles in a map so you don't so you don't hit something with your chainsaw would be really difficult. When you're running super quick across the map and missing a hit puts you out of your state where you can injure survivors, your Feral Frenzy for the Legions, that is almost impossible to do if it's hard for me to hit it just M1ing. Just doing my basic attack is hard. How would me moving really fast be? Even Spirit, she's considered a hard killer. She's one of the best killers. Her power is to teleport from one place or another to another without being seen. That is her power. But it would be almost impossible just because she runs as fast as the Legion doing so. It's not instant. She can move any way she wants, but she's going to move so fast that it's going to be impossible to control. So either what they need to do is slow the game down so the Spirit moves less fast, but the survivors move less fast too, giving people more reaction time to doing so. Or they need to implement killers that can work, such as the Hag. Hag's power wouldn't be that bad. She just would teleport, she would be instantly locked on a survivor. She would work. The Trapper, when I played him, he worked. The Wraith could possibly work. He does move really fast at times, but it's possible. The Doctor couldn't. The Shape, he could. Freddy could. The Demogorgon, probably not. The Plague, maybe. Ghostface, maybe. The Clown, that's where you're stretching it. You're stretching it at Clown, which is, he's bad, but if you're stretching it at where the bad killers are, you're going to be stretching it at where the amazing killers are, such as the Oni, Deathslinger, Demogorgon, Freddy, Hillbilly, Nurse, Huntress. The ones I just listed, they might be really hard to implement. They might have to change their powers around. And I just feel like either they need to completely eliminate those people and have them not in the game. Because if they're not in the game, the two accounts aren't shared. so whatever you do on mobile does not translate to console, or at least in my case. And you can make your own account or play as a guest, whatever you feel like doing. So them taking out certain killers that would be really difficult to use and to implement, that's fine. No one would bat an eye. But if they have all those killers available, most of them are going to be basically useless and robbing the people who bought those killers on mobile. Because, you know, I had to buy this shape, I had to buy this, I had to buy the Spirit. You'd have to buy the Deathslinger, the Oni, Pig, Ghostface, the Plague, the Demogorgon. You have to buy all these people. These ones right here come base with the game, and this one came in a DLC that's free. These are all base game killers that you get. These 5 right here. And 1, 2, 3 of them would be really hard to implement. He would be okay. Like, not amazing, but not, definitely not as easy as the Trapper or the Hag. So you have 2 viable options in your base game. If you were to extend to all of these, you would have 3, 4, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 7, maybe 8, 9. Okay, you could have 9. And some of those would be pretty shaky. So at most you have 10 killers for people to choose from. They're probably only going to choose from 4 because those are the only ones that work. And you see where the problem runs. Those either need to be base in the game and they need to know what works, or they're going to have a lot of angry people on their hands. I think that them putting it on mobile will actually open their eyes to what each community wants, because it's separate. The people on PC have different needs than the people on console. People on console don't necessarily have lag switching and all this other stuff. They don't run into those problems. There are not many hackers. The meta, to say, is not too different, but they're different, and they sort of learned that when they moved to console. And now I think that what they're going to see is when they move to mobile, what works and what doesn't on that platform itself. That's just my 2 cents of it. This is going to be a kind of a longer video, and this might be the only video I upload today, but I really just wanted to highlight what was what I felt was on the game. Alright, thank y'all for listening. I hope y'all have a good day. Y'all know my outro through this whole quarantine thing. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. My mind's a little boggled because I already did. Actually, I did a way longer talk about it because I started rambling on. I spent 30 minutes trying to talk about this thing, and I think that's why this is going to be the only video today. Because when you already say something once, and you spend 30 minutes trying to piece together all your stuff, and then I have to go re-record it because my mic was flipped up. I feel really stupid about it, but this is the video today, guys. If I upload another one, hopefully you go and watch that. If not, I completely understand. Have a good day. God bless.